Welcome, I'm Jeff and this is JSpark Garage. And in this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips for setting up a new toolbox or if you're moving to a bigger toolbox. And for the record, this video is not sponsored. I bought all of this with my own money, either on sale or on clearance. Tip number 1. First tip is picking the right toolbox. When picking a toolbox, you should be limited to 2 factors. First one is budget. Second one is space. So when you're picking a toolbox, I can promise you, you need to get the biggest toolbox you can possibly get. And doing that will max out one of those 2 factors. And that's the size toolbox you need. This is my current toolbox. I've had this thing for 25 years, and I can guarantee you it's maxed out. When picking a toolbox, I would highly suggest not getting deep drawers. 1 or 2 are fine, but the problem with deep drawers is you fill them up and you have no idea what's at the bottom of that drawer. For example, this custom bench I built. All of the drawers are shallow so that you can see everything that's in it, and tools are laid out for easy identification and easy to find them. For deep drawers, I would only suggest putting in large items that fill the whole drawer so that smaller items don't get lost in the bottom. So my current toolbox is an old ball bearing Craftsman. Like I said, I've had it 25 years and it's served me well. But it's only 26 inches wide. The bottom drawers are only 18 inches deep and the top drawers are only 12 inches. So as you can see, you're not fitting a whole lot of things. Let's see what we got to replace it. Like I said, this video is not sponsored by Harbor Freight, but it's definitely the best place I have found to get budget toolboxes. This is the 44-inch US General. I went with the bottom and the top. And additionally, I went with the side drawers also. This toolbox did not max out my budget, but it did max out on the space I have available for a toolbox. And that is between here and about here. Let's get these toolboxes swapped, which is going to be a little challenge because I have to lift them up and down from this step right here. Tip number 2. Tip number 2. Assess your current tool collection. If you're like me, you don't throw away anything. I have tools that I've had for 25 years. We have multiple screwdrivers, multiple vice grips, you name it. This is a great time to purge. Part of the other tips is going to be involved with this, but I plan on replacing a lot of my tools. After 25 years, get better quality and get complete sets of tools. But for now, let's look at what I have. Okay, don't judge me. I have random drawers with just stuff. Got multiple junk drawers. Again, screwdriver drawer is horrible. This isn't too bad, but these wrenches could be better. Socket drawer, definitely have maxed this out. Can't wait to move to the new toolbox. This drawer, it's like my worst enemy. It's always getting jammed. Again, not enough room to put everything. Looking forward to getting this drawer organized also. Here's another junk drawer. I've got some hammers, pry bars, tire tool, oil filter wrench, picks, Just all thrown in there, no organization whatsoever. Here's my 1/2-inch socket drawer. As you can see, again, maxed out. And here's that drawer I showed earlier. Of course, it's getting jammed up. Again, hammers, just random stuff. Everyone needs a pipe wrench, but it's in this drawer. So, looking forward to organizing this, getting it sorted, and determining what I need and don't need. Tip number 3. Tip number 2 rolls right into tip number 3. Quality over quantity. I would rather have 1 or 2 quality screwdrivers versus having 6 or 7 crappy ones. So when I started this journey about a year ago, I started collecting tools. I waited for sales and clearances on complete kits of quality tools. After Christmas is probably the best time to find these deals at Home Depot and Lowe's because they have that overstock of Christmas stuff that didn't sell. So they start putting it on clearance, and if you wait just long enough, you can find some amazing deals. Let me show you what I found. This is a really nice Husky wrench set. All matching, almost a no skip. I think we're missing a 16 and a 20. Got long, and we have short. All right, starting from this side, we have a gear wrench tap and die set. Really nice set, has a lot of the common sizes you need, and I believe I only paid like $35 for this. Gear wrench, hex and torque bit set. This was an incredible deal at Tractor Supply. I believe I only paid $40. Replacing some of my Allen wrenches, pick set, and this extractor set. All Icon brand. I think Icon is one of the best quality brands you can buy locally. So I got a full basic wrench set. I felt like I needed to get a full ratcheting wrench set. So here I got the gear wrench. I believe this was another Tractor Supply, but maybe Home Depot. But again, it was an after Christmas clearance item. Got it for really cheap compared to what it normally goes for. I felt like a regular wrench set and a ratcheting wrench set was good, but then you also need flex head ratcheting wrench set for those really tight spots. And here we come to a set that I'm really looking forward to. Flex head 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. After that, we just go with a nice Hercules bit set. Lots of security bits. Impact rated, will do just fine. And then this was like a $20 set of Husky screwdrivers. I plan on replacing most of my wrenches. I've collected Icon wrenches over a good while now. Some Doyle when Icon wasn't available. But basically, you wait for those 25% off coupons. Every now and then, every few months, Harbor Freight will run 25% off Icon hand tools. That's the time to buy them. Tip number 4. Tip number 4. Placement of your tools. Where you put your tools is really going to matter. You don't really want to put your wrenches all the way at the bottom when you know you're going to use them a lot. And you don't want to put very uncommon tools of using in like the middle drawers. So placement is going to be key. And that kind of rolls into tip number 5. Group similar tools. Put all your wrenches together. Put all your pliers in one drawer. With good organization, they should be able to fit. One of the things I regret doing on my old toolbox was this. I ended up having to separate my sockets. This is 1/4 inch, 3/8, and all the way down here, I have my 1/2 inch set. So in the perfect box, we would want all of these together. Tip number 6. Tip number 6, when you're starting a new toolbox. Add specialty tools when you need it. Things like ball joint press. I ended up needing the extended kit so that I could push some bushings in and out of some rear control arms. Brake service kit coolant tester, and vacuum filler. Things like pneumatic vacuum bleeder. All of these tools are great to have. Sometimes you don't need to buy them. If it's a specialty tool that you're only going to use once, go to your local auto parts store and see about renting it. Most auto parts stores will rent you these specialty tools for the cost of the tool and then allow you to return it for the full cost. In the end, you spend nothing and you're able to use the specialty tool for whatever you need. So that's step number 6. On to tip number 7. All right, before we get into step number 7, have you liked this video so far? Consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It'll help me out, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, tip number 7. And I know I'm gonna get some hate for this one because it's gonna look like Harbor Freight just threw up on my workbench. But tip number 7 is invest in storage solutions. And Harbor Freight's a good place for that. Let me show you. We're gonna start off with some accessories that have magnets. Now, if you know me, I love my magnets, and I use magnets all the time to store things. Hooks for hats, keys, organized cables, things like that. And Harbor Freight has a ton of stuff that you can use to stick to the side of your toolbox for your commonly used things. I plan on having brake cleaner in this one all the time, your gloves, a little tray. While you're working on a project or a job, you can put your commonly used tools there, screwdrivers, things like that. And of course, you've got to have the cup holder. But to continue on, this is a great storage solution. These are canvas bags that I get from Amazon. They're extremely durable. They can fit a decent amount in it. And I love to use these to organize common tools. As an example, I have this bright orange one that I use and take with me whenever I work on electrical outlets in a house. It has my Klein finder. Basically, you plug that into a wall and you can find the breaker with this device. But it also includes whether a line is hot or not. You can adjust some outlets, how far they go in, if they're sunk in too far, and some other common things that you would use to work on a house. But these are a great solution for just that situation. And I plan on using these a lot. And the last thing in tip number 7 is storage bins. These clear ones are awesome to hold loose items. And these bins are amazing for organizing things. They have these little lips that connect up to each other, holds them together, and it has several different sizes to choose from to suit any situation. As a matter of fact, I've actually used them in this drawer to hold all my loose things, knives, razor cutters, things like that. And I'll even show you one other example that my wife loved. I even used them in the kitchen. My wife was amazed how organized we could get this drawer. You can imagine, before we had this, it was a mess with all this stuff just piled in to this area. And afterwards, we were able to organize things into little bins, and she loved it. So those bins you can find on Amazon. You can get a 32 pack for about $15. And they are amazing. And any leftovers, you can use in the kitchen, and your wife will love you for it. Tip number 8. Oh, whoops. Now we're on to tip number 8. This is something every shop should have. A label maker. If you don't have a label maker, you're missing out. This is going to save you more time than anything in your entire shop. A label maker will help you find what you need quickly. Because if you waste 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, going through all your new drawers in your new toolbox, it's going to waste a lot of time and it's going to add up. So do yourself a favor, get a label maker. It's going to take some time, but it's going to be worth it in the end. Now I know where my wrenches are going to be. Tip number 9. Tip number 9. Securing loose tools and keeping them from sliding around. Let me give you an example. Using those trays from an earlier tip, you got all your trim tools, your picks, your punches, nice and neat, and they're not going to roll around in your tool drawer. Another option is shadowing your tools. That's a process where you cut the tool out, the shape of a tool out in foam, and they rest inside. This is an example of one that holds your wrenches. Every wrench has a place, and you know when you're missing one. Some industries actually require you to have these foam trays for your tools, especially the aviation industry. This is so that you know where all your tools are, it keeps them in order, and the most important part is if you're missing a tool. Because after every job, every tool should be back into their spot. You don't want to lose a wrench in an airplane. I actually made this out of camping foam, camping pad foam, and a yoga mat for the backing. So you get the blue and the black. You can also go to Harbor Freight and get these foam mats right here. You can sand them down smooth, they cut out nicely, and you can make these into shadow trays. It's a cheap option. So let's go to the last tip. And last but not least, tip number 10. Tip number 10. This is a perfect opportunity to deep clean all of your tools. I personally like to clean my tools after every single job with some brake cleaner, because if you take care of your tools, they'll take care of you for a very long time. I've got some tools over 25 years old that are still going strong. All right, let me finish organizing my new toolbox and I'll get you with a little tour and a bonus tip after that. So here we are. It's been a few days. I've had time to move my old tools to my new toolbox. I've taken the time, I've had to swap things around a little bit, but overall, at the moment, I'm pretty satisfied with where everything is for now. Let me show you what I did. All right, so one of the first things I did was, with the lid closed, I can now open all the drawers without them locking. To do that, it was pretty simple. All I did was, I've got these pins back here that had the latches. These latches right here were connected up here. I knocked the pins out, let the latches fall all the way down. So now I can open and close the lid and it doesn't affect the drawers. Also, as you see, the icon torque wrench had to go up here because all the drawers are not wide enough for me to put it in them. So it's at the top. This is just miscellaneous. I have the handles for the toolbox, some bags of zip ties, and this is for a future project, but nothing crazy. Spare parts mat and some lights. Checking out over here on the side of the toolbox, we have our can holder. I keep my flashlights here. This is one of the icon lights for the underhood mount. I have my box of gloves, of course my drink holder. And down here is my power strip with a couple USB ports to charge my lights. Now to show you how I broke up the toolbox right now. This is all basic mechanic tools for cars. In the side drawers is where I housed all of my basically house tools, stuff like that. I'll show you in just a second. All right, so, and on top of that, I have my to-go bag. It's got a duplicate of tools to where I can just grab and go. Whenever I need to go to a friend's house, I just grab this and it pretty much has everything I need. Typically just throw in a couple drills and an impact driver. Now, if you remember, one of my tips was to label everything. Makes it faster to find things, especially when you go into a new toolbox like this. So I've got everything labeled, from small parts, torque wrenches, I've got tire and motorcycle tools, extra pliers, all the way down I've got everything labeled. starting with the top drawer. If you remember one of my tips, you're going to get the biggest toolbox based on your budget or the space you're working with. I maxed out my space that I'm working with, and I'm glad I did, because now I have all this extra room. I can still put tools, parts, things like that. And that pretty much goes throughout the whole toolbox. Having the extra room is nice because when you do get new tools, you're always going to have the space for it. Next drawer down, we have our pliers, cutters, things like that. Got these wire racks from Harbor Freight, one on each side. Just to kind of hold the tools up. You can fit a lot more tools when you do that. All right, underneath that, we have the screwdriver drawer. Got this organizer from Harbor Freight. Flathead screwdrivers go this way. Phillips head screwdrivers go this way. Biggest to smallest. Makes it really convenient. Along with that, we have our bins. Remember, we want little storage bins to hold things. We have the little screwdrivers here. These are torque screwdriver bits. We have our picks, impact driver, a full Hercules security bit, a little tiny kit that I take around, and then of course, gotta have our multi-bits screwdrivers. Going down to the next, old torque wrenches, some extra ratchets. This is also where I'm keeping all of my impact wrenches, electric ratchets, and my quarter inch. Coming over here, tapes, adhesives, things like that. Everything's organized together. When I need a tape, when I need super glue, when I need anti-seize, when I need dielectric grease, things like that, it's all in one drawer. This is tire motorcycle, so chain brake, chain alignment. This also has a thermometer, things like that, chain cutting tool, and then my tire tools. This is a programmer for the TPMS sensors, tire valve, because I've actually changed my TPMS sensors at my house without going to a tire shop. And in this drawer, we have extra pliers. We have our double jointed pliers for extra force. We have our vice grips. We have our specialty pliers, things for push pins. These also work great on connectors when you can't quite squeeze them. Get in with that, pull it out, good to go. Of course, you got your long forceps. Now for the mega drawer. Love this. All of my sockets are together now. 1/2 inch, 3/8, quarter. Everything together. All my socket wrenches that I use all the time are together. My new flex ones that I showed you. This is great. I love it. Nothing more to say about it. This is the ratcheting wrench drawer. Got everything from all my metrics down this side, stubbies, and standard. Now, I told you I was thinking about buying a 3D printer and making these, but I just couldn't resist. Earl's on Amazon carries these wrench widgets. They connect together. Right over here, I'll show you because I have some extra. Basically, they come in 1 and 3. And as you can see, really easy. They just connect together like that. They have magnets to hold them in place, and they do a really good job of holding on to the wrenches. Grouping things together, like I said, on one of my tips, right over here, we just have our regular wrenches all grouped out, and of course everything is labeled, so I know exactly what I'm picking up. Going on down the line, we have our torque bits, our Allen bits, our extractors, some extra picks, easy outs. This is the electrical drawer. Wire strippers, wire cutters, crimpers. Pretty much anytime you do electrical work, you use zip ties. This thing's amazing. Tightens it up and cuts it at the same time. We have our back probe kit. These are some connectors. You'll see me use these in a future project. Not going to give it away. And ferrule, crimps, and things like that with some wire in the back. Again, this is another Allen drawer. Everything's together in the kit. We have our Torx, Allen. I also have my Allen wrenches. And this is just kind of O-rings. Great for AC, and then just general O-ring kit. Pneumatic drawer. This is going to start shrinking because honestly, I don't use pneumatic anymore. This is kind of a automotive-based specialty tool. We have our caliper hangers, brake tool, brake splitter, oil straps, spark plug bin, so that's the gap spark plugs. This right here is a brake fluid tester. Maybe I'll show you that in a future video. Pretty cool. This is a specialty thing that I made to mimic a $300 Kia tool, and it's to do a cylinder soak to remove the carbons, free up the rings, and stop the oil consumption that they have. Did it on my wife's Kia Sorento. Worked amazing. Of course, you gotta have your hammer drawer with punches. Going down in drawers, this is a cable kit. We have our box of trim push pins, cotter pins. Down here, nothing too crazy. We have our rib nut tool underneath there, and our tap and die set here. And then this is some other stuff. Ball joint kit, accessory kit, a vacuum pump. Couldn't fit this in with the pneumatic tool, so kind of lives here. Rivets. And then like I said, this is all my house tools, labeled house tools. And in it, you have your standard hammer, crowbars, scrapers, cutters, PVC, tubing cutters, scissors, deburr tool. This is again electrical for houses. This is my amp meter. This is my toolkit for doing anything electrical in a house. Gotta have a set of pipe wrenches, of course drywall cutters. But if you notice, drawer's not packed, so has room to grow. Kind of random. Files, hole saws, circle punches. If you watched the previous video I used these to make new flaps, air diverter flaps for my Ford F-150. And then yes, I do have a junk drawer still. So that's the tour of my new toolbox. I hope these tips helped you out. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. And if you like this, consider hitting the subscribe button and the like button. And I would really appreciate it. So until next time, keep turning those wrenches and chasing those dreams. I'll see you in the next episode.